It's a Thursday, also known as Setup Day at the NEC in preparation for another show. This is my story of exhibiting my vehicle at the Practical Classic Car and Restoration Show. Well, it's Thursday and it's Setup Day at the NEC for the Practical Classics Classic Car and Restoration Show. Now obviously I've been to this event previously and the Classic Car Show in November, but always just as a day visitor and helped out on the club stand. This year things are a little bit different though, because I've actually got the Megane Coupe actually being exhibited on the Renault Owners Club stand. So loaded up with all my gear for the next few days. Also got some tools and things, because they do encourage exhibitors to try and do a little bit of work on the display vehicles. So we've just got off the M42, so now I just need to find the correct way in to the NEC and obviously into the display halls. Now ordinarily I would be parking in one of the car parks, so today we're going in through actually into the hall, so need to find the correct way in. Hello mate, I'm displaying at the Restoration Show, Hall 5.
Self-driven is that?
Thank you.
So it's Hall 5 that you want, isn't it?
I believe we're in Hall 5. I mean, it says enter through N12 lorry park, but that means nothing to me.
Yeah, don't worry about that. It says vehicles that are driven themselves don't need to go there.
Yeah.
So through the barrier,
yep.
See there where the purple stuff is on the wall there, there's a vehicle entry door right there.
Okay.
So through the barrier, follow the road round, see where the purple is, there's a vehicle entry door right there for you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Hello, boss.
Oh, here we go. Change my glasses so I can see when we get in here. Hiya. That's right, Hall 5 I think we are.
Yeah, you are, but you see the door right in front of us across the other side? Understand the right way, you are, so.
All right. Is anyone else here yet?
I couldn't tell you, sir, because they may have come in through that door.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
So, as you go across, you're right at the side of that door on the left.
On the left?
That's through there. That's the door, and that's through there.
Ah, okay.
All right.
No problem, thank you. Wow, already quite a few people here. into this door and on the left. We can't be there, can we? Because there's somebody else already there. As in that door. Back up to the wall for now until I find out where they want me. Hey, you know, I've never lost one. I have never ever had one come off. And yeah, and lo and behold, it's when I was stood still. So I've got the first display vehicle to arrive on the Renault Owner Club stand today. We did have another member come to drop off some interesting items. We've got these toolboards here and we've got a whole selection of them. These I believe have come from a dealership that closed down, so quite an old garage I think. I'd say some of them tools are definitely predate my car. So just waiting for a few more members to arrive. Our club secretary Rob, who should be here any time now, and then there'll be we've got an Aventime that's supposed to be here later on as well. Obviously a lot happening at the moment, a lot of cars coming and going, a lot of trailers in and out. I must admit I've moved my car 2 or 3 times since I arrived. A lot of interesting stuff in here today already, and still cars coming in all the time. Part of the problem we seem to be having is people are arriving, and when you first arrive you just basically see a big room with a black floor. There are some little markers on the floor that with numbers for the stands, but it's not always very obvious when you first come in. So we've got a lot of people arriving not knowing where to go, and because you have to wear a high vis on setup day, it's not that easy identifying who's a marshal and who is basically here displaying. So you join me here on Friday morning en route back to the NEC. Now kindly I've been put up by Rob here for the night, so thank you very much Rob, it's much appreciated.
You're welcome.
But best of all, this morning we actually travelled back by train last night. This morning I'm travelling in style, flying first class aboard the magnificent Renault Aventime. So the Renault Aventime, I'm sure most of you are aware, looks a bit like an MPV, but it's a sort of MPV coupe Luxo badge. Pillarless, so obviously when the windows are down and the sunroof's open, you really do get that open air experience. I've always really liked these cars. I really like the dashboard in these as well. It's very reminiscent of the Espace 3 and Espace 4. So we've got the digital instruments up top, an array of glove boxes and things. The dashboard actually does have a bit of a minimalist look. And then on the driver's side you've got your climate controls, and then we've got a separate control down here for the passenger. Obviously we've got these weird sort of scissor action on these doors as well. That's something really useful. Back in period when I had a 3-door Megane Coupe, that was quite a wide car and the doors were huge on it, and if you got in a parking bay it could be nigh on impossible to actually get out with a car. So the Aventime being bigger still, Renault came up with this ingenious mechanism to open the doors. But yeah, as I say, it's got all the leather and everything, so we're travelling in luxury. Now the one thing with the Aventime is that what the Renault did is they took a really practical, spacious car and actually robbed it of a lot of its luggage capacity and even a bit of passenger space in the back, but certainly up front it's a very spacious and comfortable vehicle. So we'll be back in the NEC in about 20 minutes or so time, and yeah, excited for the opening day of the 2025 Practical Classic Car and Restoration Show. Catch up with you a bit later. So we've been doing a little bit of work on the vehicles here today at the NEC, and obviously we're looking at Rob's Renault 5 Alpine Turbo here, and what we've actually been doing is replacing a pipe for the rear screen washer. The bottle is actually down here in the back of the car, so we're looking to replace the pipe that goes from the bottle here up here and down to the spray nozzle, which is near this wiper. So we've managed to remove a lot of the trim and get the bottle out, and just to help with routing the pipe, we've removed this trim piece here because you can actually see the pipe inside.
I think it might still need the lamp unit coming off, but it's a bit hard to see.
Yeah, so that's what we've been doing on the Renault 5 this afternoon. Now I've spent much of the day doing a few jobs on the Megane. So what we've done here is obviously I've jacked the car up and got the wheel off, and the first job I wanted to do was remove this arch liner. Now I've got some really stubborn bolts in here. The bottom one I actually used a bit of penetrating fluid, managed to get a torque socket on the end of there on an extension bar, give it a tap with a hammer to shock it, and then I actually used an impact drive, and it actually undid the bolt without breaking it. Then I've spent till about 2 o'clock this afternoon trying to drill out the bolt above it. This has caused me quite some problems. Broke a few drill bits in the process. The idea was I was then going to use an extraction bit, which has basically got a thread that sort of reverses, so when you turn it to undo the bolt, the thread actually bites in tighter to the bolt. Now I've actually used it before when I had a wheel bolt that was stuck, and it worked brilliantly. With this bolt though, not quite so successful. It's strange actually, the bolt was soft enough to round the head, but hard enough that I really struggled drilling it. Eventually I did end up managing to drill it, but actually drilled the head out, so I've still got the bottom of the bolt stuck in there. So it's now quite late in day actually. I've only got an hour till day one is over, and I haven't really been and seen anything yet, so I'm probably going to pack this bit up for today, pick it up again tomorrow. I'm going to try and get this wheel arch liner out. That might allow me to get behind this panel to try and address a few of the dents in this wing. I obviously want to have a go at this sill as well, so that's another task I'm going to try, as well as potentially a few other jobs. But as I say, for today I'm going to pack things up and have a wander around and see if I can see a little bit more of the show, because I've not even been all the way around Hall 5 yet. So you join me here on day 2, Saturday, and this morning I've actually managed to do what I set out to do yesterday, which was removing this wheel arch liner. So this had been a real pig to get out. I've wanted to get this out for a while. Obviously it's held in with these clips here, which I've been able to pull out with trim tools, and then at the bottom there was 2 bolts. Now one bolt I've broke the head off and the remainder's still stuck in there. The other one I actually managed to get out clean. So this has clearly revealed the inside of the wheel arch, so I wanted to get in here to have a good inspect anyway. I mean, we've got a little bit of surface corrosion there, but nothing too severe. Generally everything seems pretty good. As I expected, some mud did fall out when I pulled the bottom of that liner out. I mean, really I'm probably going to have to open this up again at home and to give it a really deep clean. But for today I have actually got a few bits, some all-purpose cleaner and some wash and wax, so I might be able to give it a bit of a going over. So obviously we've got wiring in there for things like the side repeater, but ultimately it gives me access to the back of this front wing. Now obviously I don't know if you can pick it up in this light, but there are a few dents on this panel, so it's going to give me the opportunity to get in, try and push those out. So whether I want to try and hammer those out or get a dolly behind and do some hammer off dolly on top to bring it back in, but then obviously it's risking the paint. So yeah, I've got a few options there. I've obviously failed in the past with pullers, but and I haven't got a line board either, so I'd have to do it sort of just off the reflection from the lighting here in the NEC. But that's something I'm going to have a look at anyway. The other thing, it's confirmed that there's no plugs or anything for me to access into this sill here, so when I do have a go at this, I am going to have to try and pull it from underneath. So that's obviously another job for me to have a go at today. I might actually heat this panel a bit as well, see if I can get it a little bit more malleable. So this is obviously the Lidl heat gun. It's actually the park side, but these are sold in Lidl. A little light under here as well, so I can actually see what I'm heating. I'm not using one of the little diffusers. I don't want to the heat to be too direct and damage the paint. I'm also probably going to heat a little bit from the back as well. Now I've actually sort of tested this at home just to see what it was like. Not really used it properly yet. I've got another spare battery as well. So, but when I tried it at home, it ran for about 7 minutes on only a 2 amp hour battery, which I thought weren't bad. Obviously, I don't want to go too mad with this one because I bought this for doing the work on the sill. I don't want to spend too long over one area, just so we don't damage the paint. And it's not really softening anything up too much yet, but obviously getting the panel being a bit warmer should hopefully allow the metal and the paint to sort of flex with a reduced risk of any cracking. Now, problem is I can't really get in here with the rods. Now I did pick these up, to be honest, they could probably do with polishing, because the smoother these are, better you're not going to transfer any defects to your metal. I'm going to use this dolly behind and just find where the crease is. I want to try and work it sort of more from the edge, so I'm going to get my dolly behind the dent, right there. Around the edge, and what that's doing, we're actually doing what's called hammer off dolly. So the dolly is behind the dent here, and I'm just hammering a little bit around either side. I just want to demonstrate here below this line here, we've actually got another dent. But this time I've got a crease running diagonally there. Don't know if it's picking this up on camera, but this is an example where I'm actually going to use hammer on dolly. So I'm using this heel dolly now behind here, and where before I was hammering off around the sides of the dolly with the dolly pushing the dent, what I'm doing this time is using the heel dolly around it, and I'm just gently hammering along the line of that crease. Obviously, if it had been a small dent pushing up, I would have used the tool, a knockdown tool. As I say, this is actually a long crease. You can actually tell with the sound of the hammer as well when you're on dolly as opposed to off. It's still there, but it is reduced. It has definitely reduced. I don't know, that might be nearly there. Quite pleased with that. Just show you these other ones. So this panel up here is the one I've been having a go at. Now you can possibly see with the light refracting there, we have still got some small indentations, but bear in mind I had a small crease here quite close to this line, a dent in there with a vertical crease, and then as we come back here we had quite a large dent around here. That actually took quite a lot to pull it enough to start with, and to hammer around being larger. I had a few more, there's still one up there. I had another back here actually that had a crease that I've managed to get rid of. So it just leaves me this one. I might have a go at that with some rods, because I can't get my hand behind with the dolly. Okay, so this is actually looking a lot better than it was. It's still not perfect. The crease down here I've more or less got rid of with a bit of hammer on dolly. I actually did the same with the crease up here. It's not completely gone yet, but as I reduced that crease, I noticed that the larger dent that was beneath it, it sort of took some stress out, and it allowed it to sort of come back a little bit flatter by itself. So that is getting there. Another thing I want to look at is this small dent here. Now I've actually got a different tool for this. Down in the corner of this area between the outer wing and the inner wing behind the headlight, so I'm actually going to put a rod down there. Got one with a sort of flat end on, and I'm going to get it behind and do a sort of twisting motion, see if I can bring this little dent out. I don't know if you can see it as I'm twisting, it's just flexing that metal out. I'm just trying to work it from the edge. It's difficult because you can't quite... I'm just trying to work it from the edge. It's difficult because you can't quite see where the back of the tool is. Now I can't get the dolly behind here. Now I think I have got some of that crease out, but I've also put a slight high spot just at the bottom end there. So what I'm going to have to do is use a tool to knock that out afterwards. Quite funny actually, while I've been here doing this, I mean obviously the bonnet's up at the moment, so that seems to attract a few people to come in and looking at the car. But every time I pick the hammer up and I start hammering and using the dolly, I seem to look over my shoulder and find that there's people stood over my shoulder actually watching what I'm doing. So obviously this must be a topic that people find interesting. So now I'm actually going to have a go at the dent under the sill. What I've done is I've heated the panel underneath just to try and make it a little bit more flexible. Now these are hot melt glue sticks, but I haven't got a plug socket for my glue gun, so I'm using this battery powered heat gun to melt the glue onto the pads which I'm going to stick to the car. I then obviously have to let that give that time to dry out a little bit, to settle and stick to the bottom of the car. And then I'm going to have a go with the dent puller. Now my expectations are low for this. I'm not really sure if this is going to work, but it may just fall off, but we'll give it a go anyway and see if we can improve it a little bit. So obviously that's stuck underneath there now, and what I'll do in a minute is get this puller and see if we can get that to budge. Didn't get very far, I'll have to try that again. Now what's happened is obviously the car's probably been jacked under here. So you've got a curve that way, but you've also got a curve the other way. And what's happened is this edge is actually lower than the bit behind. And what it's done at the front of the panel is you get to here and then you can actually feel this panel bulges outwards. So as that bulges up in, this is pushed out. I have actually been tapping that with a mallet to see if I can get that down a bit. There's also a very slight incline here and it does narrow that shut line there. It's not to the point where it's catching, but it does. There is a slight reduction of a few millimetres on that shut line there. So this has been left on a while now to see if it sticks a bit better, so I'm going to have another go with the slide hammer. But it doesn't look like that's going to work, does it? I think we need a plan B. Good mixture, let's get that glue off. And I'll try a suction cup, although I suspect the suction cup, the area won't be flat enough or large enough to get the suction cup in which case I'm probably going to be snookered here. Yep, that's not going to work, I think. No, I think we're going to be scuppered on this one. The only option now is probably going to be either a hole drilled with a screw through there, or rub the paint back and actually tack on with a welder some of the little hooks and do the slide hammer that way, because unfortunately the glue method is just not strong enough. Now what I am having slightly more success with is refreshing these with a heat gun. Now I've just changed the battery on the heat gun, and I don't suspect that the second battery will last long enough to complete this, but yeah, it's nice to see that actually does seem to be working. I've actually tried this before with a hairdryer and on other similar components and not had a lot of success, but the heat gun does seem to be getting there. It seems you do almost have to get it to the point just before you melt it, and that's where it sort of brings out the black colour again. Sunday was the final day of the show, and owing to the fact that Rob had to drive home his R5 at the end of the show, it meant that we were back on public transport Sunday morning. Sunday service meant the train was a little bit later, so we did arrive a bit later than we would have liked to. I spent most of the day trying to get my Megane back together and catching up with a few friends that I'd missed throughout the weekend.
Welcome aboard this West Midlands Railway service for Birmingham International. We will be calling at Adderley Park, Stechford, Lee Hall, Marston Green and Birmingham International.
Right, and that is the end to the Practical Classic Car and Restoration Show 2025. Obviously we've got cars out here. As frantic out here as it was inside, with people loading up trailers and things.
Make a U-turn.
So there's the bits of the NEC that you don't normally get to see. I've been directed a different way out because apparently the main route's gridlocked. So hopefully this takes me where I actually need to be. Can't actually express how much I've enjoyed this event and how grateful I am for the opportunity to have displayed here. A lot of hard work, but so totally worth it. You do get a lot of people actually when they see the club doing things like this, you know, sort of dropping messages and you know, wanting to get the cars on display, but it's not always that straightforward. These things take months and months of planning, obviously trying to get the right mix of cars as well. Sometimes you know, certain cars required to mark certain anniversaries, for example, and as I say, just to try and get a good variety of vehicles. I've also been really pleased at how well received the Megane has been over the weekend as well. And so many people coming up and you know, wanting to talk about the car and ask questions. Yeah, the thing when we do the November event, you come out of here and it's dark. Obviously this year it's daylight out here, so you know, going all the way back up the A42, probably going to see the coolest convoy of cars you ever likely to see on road. I mean, look at this. There's that Mark II coming the other way. We've got another classic ahead of us as well. I think anyone passing by that doesn't know this event's on, that's travelling this evening, are in for a real treat. One thing I always seem to find when I come out of the NEC, they always seem to route you out a different way to what you came in. Coming in is always really easy. When leaving, I always seem to end up driving like what feels miles and miles out of the way.